Hello, my name is Adrienne Lee from Adrienne Lee Joywork, and this is Phin. You've heard him in the background of some videos. He decided he wanted to come join us today. And this is your Moonday message for the week of July 6th, 2020. And wow, we have some really interesting energies available for us this week. We're just coming out of the full moon and a 3 eclipse portal, which began in early June and just ended over the weekend as well. I referenced this full moon as the Fool Moon in my Patreon write-up because I drew 2 Fool cards to represent that full moon. And so what we are being offered this week, the energy that is present, is the starting of a new path collectively. And none of us really know where we're going. It's very liminal. It's very up in the air, but we're all feeling it. We're all feeling the tension. We're all feeling in the animal body the dis-ease of being ungrounded and not really knowing where we're moving forward. So it's really important that we care tend, that we cuddle, that we love our animal body physically and take good care to help soften the effects of what we are collectively moving through this week. And I was drawn to an animal ally, a sacred geometry, and a tarot card for the reading this week. In the tarot, we have the Queen of Swords. What I am loving about this card is the color pink, really connecting us to the high heart chakra, connecting us to using both our heart and our voice as we show up in the world. It also represents boundary work and getting really clear on who we are and what we believe, what our boundaries are, and taking good care to support ourselves in those boundaries. And I'm going to show you this card again. What I really love about this card is that the Queen of Swords has the sword pointing down. This is all of us. We all have this potential, right? We all have our boundaries and our sacred point of view. And we can either choose to have the sword sitting upright. We can choose to have the sword directed outward in defense. We all know that we can cleave one another in two with the power of our words, with the power of our language, through anger, through projection. But the Queen says there's no need. If we know who we are internally, if we know what we believe and what we will and will not stand for, then those are simply our boundaries. I don't need to lash out. I don't need to convince you. I don't need to be angry or mean or justify my boundaries. They are simply my boundaries, and I hold them firmly but with love. That is the message of the Queen of Swords, that we know the power of our words and we use them when needed. And this is the interesting part. The other 2 cards that were drawn, we have Wild Orchids, card number 11, and we got Moose, also card number 11. So this is kind of blowing my mind after Saturday pulling 2 Fool cards from 2 different decks. We've now drawn 2 card number 11. 11 in numerology is a master number. It is a power number, a number that says, especially if we see them in pairs like this, 1111, it's a sign to me that take notice. A path shift has occurred. We are on the path. Something that needs to be paid attention to is prominent this week. So what I'm feeling for us collectively is that we need to really stay awake and pay attention to what we see going on externally, because there's a big shift happening as this eclipse portal has closed. There's a big shift energetically that is occurring. And wild orchids, number 11, again, we have this pink color. It relates to the high heart. It relates to giving voice to the heart. And the medicine of this card in particular is the power of softness, the power of receptivity, the power of listening. And the sacred geometry that is in the back is the Merkaba, which when drawn looks like a triangle pointed down and another one pointed up, overlain on top of it. It's a really powerful sacred geometric shape that I encourage you to research and meditate on. It really helps the brain to integrate the idea of two polarized opposites, learning how to come together in tandem and in cooperation to create a shape that is a more powerful whole than either of the two were separately. I'm really feeling this as a potent and primal geometric shape for all of us collectively to feel into. How can we be the Queen of Swords, hold our boundaries, hold our truth, and still ebb and flow in a paradigm filled with people who may have opposing viewpoints from us? How can we rebuild a societal structure that supports us all as we are collectively dismantling white supremacy, white privilege, racism, as we are moving through pandemic and recognizing that our social structures are no longer supporting what is in this moment, what is right now. So how are we going to pivot? How are we going to restructure? And the third card that came to support, Moose, again, card number 11. And Moose is all about using our voice, figuring out what our voice is, and being vocal, being loud, being sensual and wild in our reckoning of our truth and in our sharing of our truth with others. Now is not a time to be silent. Again, we don't need to be angry or pushy. The medicine of Moose is not that we are sharing our truth in order to change other people. Moose simply takes up space and shares its truth because it's its truth and it's unwilling to not be seen. So what I'm seeing in this spread here is that this week, the energy available for all of us is that of the power of witness, of witnessing and of being witnessed, of showing up as we are and sharing who we are individually so that we can get to know exactly what our collective is all about. We need all of our voices, and we can't find common ground until they've all been heard. And this doesn't mean we are actively fighting to convince one another otherwise. We actually need to soften enough to listen to one another's messages so that we can find the common ground to rest in, so we can find the common spaces, so that the new paradigm can be structured on these spaces and not on the polarized opposites that we are currently inhabiting. So that's the message for the week. I hope that it serves you well. I hope that you have everything you need, and I hope that you have someone to cuddle in your life, and that you will continue to share your truth and show up to be witnessed. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you next week.